Welcome to the Daily Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Meredith. I've led my family on a transformative health journey for over a decade, and now I help other families do the same. This is a place where busy moms can learn about healthy living. I hope that what you learn here helps you feel empowered to take the next step in your family's health journey.
What we are going to share with you today is actually pretty crazy, don't you think?
Yes.
It is. We have been telling people about this now for, it's been a couple of weeks. So we've been telling people about it on and off, and people are just responding like, what? Really? We're like, yeah, really. So I'm excited to share this with you today. Obviously, you can tell my husband, Ryan, is with me. So welcome back to the Daily Wellness Podcast. We are going to talk about airway health today and Ryan's airway health journey. I don't know if I just made up that term. Airway health. That might be a thing.
Sounds good. Yeah.
So if you're not familiar with this, I want you to go back and listen to the two podcasts that we've already done on this topic. We talk with professionals in the field of airway health, podcasts number 109 and 111. You can get a lot more detailed information about what I'm talking about, but it really just has to do with making sure that everything related to your airway, so like your nose, right, your mouth, your tongue, your throat, the tonsils, the adenoids, all those types of things are in the proper position so that you are breathing the way that your body was designed to breathe. And there are so many things that can obstruct or kind of handicap your airway so that you are not breathing as well as you should be breathing. And that has all kinds of downstream effects and symptoms that can cause in your life. And some of them you would be very surprised to hear. If you go back and listen to those podcast episodes, like one lady tells the story of her child that had ADHD symptoms. And once they addressed his airway, those went away. Another told the story about her daughter that was trying to be a cheerleader. And well, she was a cheerleader, but she was really having problems with some of the movements where she couldn't get her arms and shoulders to go in the proper position for some of the movements. And after she addressed her airway with a tongue tie release, she was able to move her shoulders more freely and get into the proper position. And so it can like hormone issues, tons of kind of mood and sleep disorders, this like an unbelievably long list of things that can go wrong when your airway is not right. And so Ryan started noticing some of these symptoms. We have an integrative dentist that we go to as a family, and there are actually a few of us that could use help with our airway. But Ryan was experiencing some of the most symptoms from it. So I'll let him explain. Just tell us like what were some of the symptoms that you were noticing that our dentist kind of helped us connect the dots related to your airway.
Right. Well, before kind of going on this journey, as we say, I would have never connected the dots that these were actually symptoms of an airway issue. But they were snoring, which, would be logical to connect that. Grinding of teeth, plantar fasciitis, which was something we'll talk about in a second. And then just trouble sleeping in general.
Yeah.
And then just overall, just tightness just throughout my body.
Yeah. He was not having trouble going to sleep, but having trouble staying asleep. So he would wake up like in the middle of the night at 4 a.m. or whatever, couldn't go back to sleep. So do you want to kind of explain the connection on some of those? So the snoring one is kind of obvious, right? If your airway isn't right, you're not going to be breathing right. If you're not breathing through your nose and you're breathing through your mouth, you're going to be snoring. And that's often due to the position of your tongue.
Yep.
And then grinding.
So, again, as Melissa said, some of these podcast episodes previously kind of explained this a little bit, but grinding can be a symptom because your body, your mouth is trying to force your airway into a position where it is breathing freely during the night. And so to try to do that, your body's clenching your teeth, trying to move your jaw to reposition your airway so that it's free and open. So that's often a reason why people do grind their teeth or clench their teeth at night, which is something I've done for a long time. I have a guard to address that in terms of just protecting my teeth from the grinding and things like that. So it's always been an issue for me, at least recently.
Yeah. Hi, friends. I want to tell you about a new resource. Did you know that breast cancer is a problem? Of course you do, because 1 in 8 women will receive a breast cancer diagnosis. And we all know someone personally who's been affected by this. I started taking this pretty seriously a few years ago when I decided that I really wanted to come up with a breast health plan for myself. But when I went to look for information on how to do that, most of the information out there for women is about screenings and detection and not prevention. Knowing what I know about health, I knew that there had to be a way that I could really make my body resistant to disease and make my breast resistant to disease. After years of research, asking questions, learning, come to find out there actually is a lot that we can do as women to be proactive and pursue breast health 365 days a year. So I have decided to put this information into a guide because I really just don't see people talking about this. And I think women deserve to know the things that we can do that will really impact our health and reduce our risk of diagnosis. We talk about all kinds of things, and I get into over 30 pages worth of tips and practical things that you can be doing in your life that will really make a difference. And I really think that this can not just make a difference for you, but make a difference for the future generations of women in your family. If you want to learn more about this, it's called the 365 Breast Health Guide. You can get the link in the show notes, or you can go to dailywellnesscommunity.com. So another one for him was not sleeping well. And if you are waking up in the middle of the night, it could be your body having a cortisol response to your body not getting enough oxygen. So you're not breathing well enough for your body to get enough oxygen, and your brain wakes you up so that you can breathe.
Yeah.
And that was happening to you a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And, sometimes it may be due to stress, often is what I would say, or, just have a lot on my mind, quote unquote. But it was happening more often as I got older as well. So.
Yeah. And then plantar fasciitis. This is one of the most surprising ones because you're like, how does something on your feet hurt, connect with your tongue tie or your airway issues?
Yeah. And this is something literally for 3 years that I've been dealing with and trying various things to get rid of it. I've been in physical therapy. I had massage treatment. I had gotten custom orthotic insoles. And so just various things to kind of like manage it and treat it, but just nothing that would make it go away. I had come to like a place where I had, just been able to manage and live and not be too limited, but it's still just kind of an underlying annoying issue.
Yeah, but he would not do things sometimes because he knew it was going to make his feet hurt, or not do things in a consecutive number of days because he knew it was going to be too painful for his feet. And when we went and hiked the Grand Canyon, he had to do a prescription anti-inflammatory because he knew his feet couldn't handle that kind of hike. So that is something that we were going into this like really, really hoping for relief in. And the thinking with the connection between plantar fasciitis, which is pain in the fascia of your foot, and the tongue tie that he had a class 3 tongue tie, is that the fascia, that connective tissue under your tongue, connects all the way through your body down to your feet. So people have reported that it helps when they get a tongue tie release to get some relief from their plantar fasciitis. So we were like, please God, let this be a solution for Ryan. We were really hoping for that one. And then the last one, just general tightness in his neck and shoulders. So this was like the list of things we were going into Ryan's tongue tie release with, like just really hoping that we would see some relief in all of these symptoms. And so what were your initial feelings going into this? Like, you had to do myofunctional therapy, then a tongue tie release, then more myofunctional therapy. What were your thoughts starting all of that?
Yeah, so skeptical. I'll be honest. I'm not always the most optimistic about some of these things in terms of their ability to fix my problems, right? And so, I was a little bit discouraged about all the other things that we had tried, or I had tried to address my plantar fasciitis specifically. So I kind of grew a little bit discouraged and maybe just settled into like, it's just always how it's going to be. And so I was definitely skeptical about, something in my tongue helping with my feet and my calves. So
in general, though, he is like so great about trying things that are, a little I don't know, uncommon,
unconventional, maybe.
Unconventional,
Right.
More in the natural health and wellness world. He's really great about trying that. But I can definitely see where your skepticism has come from. Sometimes you like deal with something for so long, you're just like, I don't really have a lot of hope that this is ever going to get better. So that's kind of where we were at. And so let's just talk about it. So he got started on myofunctional therapy, which is therapy of the mouth and the tongue, in late March.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
It was weird. I mean, you never have ever done physical therapy for your tongue and for your mouth, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
And so just like normal physical therapy, you have exercises you do at home, and then come in for new ones. And it was interesting. So, just walking around the house, making clicking noises and other random things that were pretty funny.
Yes. It was like the end of April, beginning of May when you did your tongue tie release.
Yes.
Just a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was really a painless surgery that did not take very long. So I got numbed up very quickly and didn't feel anything throughout the surgery. Yeah. And again, it did not take very long. So not an uncomfortable process or an uncomfortable procedure. But by maybe 2 or 3 hours after that procedure, then I was very uncomfortable. I would say for the next,
the numbing medicine wore off.
Yes. Yeah, the numbing medicine wore off, and then I'm like, okay, now I definitely feel something in my mouth. I did not want to talk for about 24 hours.
Yeah.
Because it was painful. So it was not like on a scale of 1 to 10, it wasn't like a 9, it was more like a 6, but it was definitely uncomfortable. And you just are not used to feeling that type of thing in your mouth. Plus, there were like stitches that anytime I would talk, they did their best to trim those down, so they were pretty low profile, but it would still kind of rub against my tongue. So not a comfortable 24 hours by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, but that just meant like we tried to limit the times that he had to talk, and which was a little bit hard for him with work. But and then we also just made sure he had a lot of soft food, so he ate smoothies mostly that day for the 24-hour period, and then we started working some more soft foods in. And so how long before you really were like, oh, this is fine, I can eat normally?
Yes. So 24 hours later, a significant difference just in terms of just comfort was not still eating normally or talking a lot, but just, a lot more comfortable, able to just relax a little bit. But 3 days later, I really was almost back to normal. I was eating, mostly normal.
Yeah.
Could still feel some of the stitches, but those were dissolvable stitches, so they were already kind of going away. And by 4 to 5 days later, I was pretty much recovered and back to normal.
Yeah, I think on day 4 you were eating normal meals and everything for sure with us. And one thing about your mouth is that with all the saliva in your mouth, any sores or cuts that you've had in your mouth, you probably notice that it just heals really quickly. So that's one benefit.
That was one funny thing I mentioned to her. I was like, I have so much spit in my mouth right now. Maybe you always do, but it just felt like my body was like pushing a lot of saliva to that place to help heal.
Yeah.
That quickly. So
yeah. What are some of the immediate things that you noticed changing in any of the symptoms that you were having, or just in your mouth area? How did that kind of progression go? What were some of the first few things that you noticed?
Yeah. So even the first night, well, first of all, I noticed, and some of it was like my tongue was a little bit swollen, right? And so it was just a little bit bigger in my mouth. But even now, like my tongue is at the top of my mouth where it's supposed to be all the time. So it's just like, when I'm not talking, when I'm just resting, my tongue is at the top of my mouth where it's supposed to be. And the first night that I slept, I just woke up feeling really, really good. Like I just felt like I had slept really soundly and really well, without a lot of effort, right?
Yeah.
And I did not sleep with my mouth guard in either, just because I didn't want that rubbing on the stitches and anything like that. But when I woke up, not only did I feel very refreshed, my jaw was not tight. Like I did not feel like the tightness in my jaw.
So crazy.
Especially after, after sleeping without my mouth guard, I would normally have been grinding my teeth and I have a kind of a tight soreness in my jaw. Didn't have it. And that hasn't happened since I've stopped using my mouth guard, completely. And I haven't felt like a lot of tightness in my jaw when I wake up.
Yeah. And I can hear him just like normally, like breathing deep, like he's sleeping, but he hasn't been snoring. So that also resolved right away. That's pretty crazy.
It was.
Yeah. So just that tightness in your jaw went away. Your tongue immediately went to the roof of your mouth. Breathing easier at night, obviously, because you're not snoring. You're waking up rested. Anything else? Like Yeah, we're like 2 weeks out.
Yeah. So again, like one of my big hopes was that my plantar fasciitis would have been helped in some meaningful manner through this process. And so again, like kind of cautiously optimistic, but a little bit skeptical. So
Yeah.
first day after the release, I kind of walked around a little bit more without shoes throughout the house.
Which
So
he never did. He always wear his shoes for the support.
yeah. And I was like, well, I don't know if I'm imagining it, but that doesn't feel as bad as it normally does, but maybe it's just in my head.
Right.
And then kind of a backstory. I've been training for a kind of a mud run 10K that we're going to run. I'm going to run with a friend here at the beginning of June. And as soon as we got back from the Grand Canyon trip, I had cycled off of that prescription anti-inflammatory. But then I started running to prepare for this 10K. I'm not a huge runner, don't really enjoy long distance, but this was a goal of mine for a while to run this race. And after 2 or 3 days of consistent running, my plantar fasciitis was just like terrible. And I stopped because it was painful. I would wake up in the morning, just be limping around. And yeah, it was just terrible. I was like, okay, well, I'm either just going to have to not train and suffer really badly during the race, or this tongue tie release is going to have to work for me to train consistently. So anyway, post tongue tie release, a couple days later, I ran 2 miles, felt pretty good feet wise. I was like, okay, well, that's cool, but let's see how it does. So then a couple days later, I ran a 5K, ran 3.5 miles. Still felt okay. A day after that, I was like, well, okay. And then I was going to our CrossFit class a couple times, and then
we went to an amusement park where we did tons of walking.
Well, yeah. So I went to the amusement park.
Yeah.
And my feet were tired, but I was checking with Melissa. I was like, my feet kind of hurt. And she's like, well, my feet hurt too. I think it's just because we're standing up all day.
We're standing on this concrete all day.
Or maybe that's normal, because I don't really know what normal feels like anymore. And then the next day I ran for 5 miles, which is the longest I've run in a long time, very long time. Didn't enjoy it at all, but it's not because my feet hurt. It's because
I just don't like running.
I just don't like running. So, but
again, like at the end of the day, you're like,
yeah, feet feel fine. Like, so if I would have done that pre tongue tie release, I just would have been, not be able to walk, comfortably for several days after that. And no problem. So at this point, I have enough evidence and experience not to think that it really did help.
Yeah.
Like I really do feel like this was a significant improvement in my plantar fasciitis symptoms. So,
yeah. Would you say like 100% gone, like 90%?
I would say like 85 to 90% gone. I still will notice it if I walk around barefoot for a long period of time. And so I'm still like wearing my sandals in the house and stuff like that. But I would say like 85 to 90% better, which is pretty significant.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah. It was really funny, like watching you like think through the process after the tongue tie release, and you're like, I think my feet are better. Let me just try some running. Like, okay, that went okay, but I think I need to try something else. Like you couldn't really trust it. Like that's how skeptical he was of this whole thing. And he just didn't really trust it until now we're here like 2 weeks out and his feet are feeling great. So we're just really thankful.
Yeah.
Thankful to Robert's Integrative Dentistry. Thankful that God just directed our path and helped us to learn about all of this, because it's so, in your mind, it just doesn't make sense how that would connect to be something that helps with your feet. But really thankful. And it just like solved so many issues at once.
It did. It really did.
Yeah, for one day of being uncomfortable. So, and doing some funny mouth exercises.
Yeah. And honestly, I wasn't even consistent with my exercises. So I wasn't the best, but I did do it.
And now he's still doing some post tongue tie release. He still has some myofunctional therapy that he's doing, but that's just to really help the muscles do their very best after the tongue tie, and then going forward to solidify all the changes. So that's it. I told you it was crazy. I mean, it's really crazy. I had just wanted him to like document this for you guys, because this is something that you probably wouldn't believe unless you heard it from somebody that it actually happened to. So if you are having unexplained symptoms, you might just do some research and see if it's an airway related issue, because there are really a lot of things that can be a result of your airway not working properly. So just want to encourage you to do that. I'm going to put our dentist, our integrative dentist in the show notes for you guys, as well as links to the previous podcasts that we have done on this topic. If you guys have questions for Ryan, our email is also in the show notes, and you can email us, ask us your questions. We'll either reach out to you or maybe we'll answer in social media or something like that. But we'd love to know if you guys want to hear more about this or have other questions. You can contact Robert's Integrative Dentistry or let us know and we'll share our experience. But thanks for joining the Daily Wellness Podcast. Make sure you share this with anyone that you think might be having similar symptoms.
Thanks for listening to today's episode on the Daily Wellness Podcast. We hope that you found it helpful for your own wellness journey. And if so, we'd love for you to leave a review. Then come back and listen for review shoutouts on upcoming episodes. For more information, check out the show notes and connect with us on our website, dailywellnesscommunity.com.